Yeah. Comedian Joe. Comedian Joe. Comedian Joe.
Please welcome to the stage the one, the only, John Hastings.
Yeah, fuck yeah! Woo! All right, yeah, baby. Lincoln Fields on a Friday. Let's get the fuck out of here. Go to the Wendy's that used to have a salad bar. Oh my goodness, it's very nice to be home. This is my hometown. Thank you so much for selling us out. First night we're taping. I mean, it's so wonderful to be home. Thank you very much, Gen Zs, for crossing your arms. That's welcoming an elder millennial. You probably grew up in a time when Carlingwood Mall had a Sears and not the biggest Canadian Tire in the world. Yeah, brothers, I'm from the Ottawa where Westboro wasn't a place you used to drink. It was a place you used to go and die or raise kids. Like, like Ottawa, Ottawa, they say, like, Ottawa is the city that fun forgot. No, we know about fun. We don't have time. We're running a country. Do you think it's easy? Do you think it's easy making all those provinces get along? We put a lot of pressure on Quebec. The Maritimes are assholes too. Oh, come drink in the kitchen. No, we're not turning alcoholism into a poem. I'm from Ontario. We drink in our cars and then we drive home. That's why we have that little road next to the highway. Excellent sneaky arrival, my friend. You just prevented an edit and then I introduced it. Very good. I appreciate the energy and the laughter and that you guys are happy to see me because that does not always happen when I walk on stage. Because comedy is a fun thing filled with energy. And if you see my face, you don't think, oh, he looks fun. I don't look like I have jokes. I look like I have rules. I look like I got a car and you're not allowed to eat food in it. I'm 38. I don't look 38. I don't look any age. I just look like you. Oh no, I just had a stroke. All right, for those of you on the right side of the room, the show will be fine. Those of you on the left side, some of the act-outs will be diminished. Thank you. That is my nickname from a Christian camp that was just yelled out, possibly by a Christian, which is breaking the rules, which is a sin in this situation. I did work at a Christian camp. That was sort of my beginning of becoming an agnostic person, was working at a Christian camp, because I remember there was a guest speaker who came in and he said, I know God loves me. I have had 4 heart attacks and I have been hit by lightning twice. And I remember thinking that, being like, I don't think God likes you at all. I think God wants to hurt you, but also doesn't want to kill you, so then you'd be up there with him. They say don't do new material on your taping, and I say, I dare. Yeah, it's a weird look, you know what I mean? Because if we're totally honest with what my look is, I look like white supremacy is cool with me. Thank you for laughing, black guy. Thank you for checking with your black friend before you laughed at that joke. There's no better energy in the world than a white man trying his best. And then a comment of race is made and he just looks around like a player looking for a referee. I'm gonna need a call on this, coach. Is this all? I want to point out a couple of things. You two got ready for it from either side from these two Dave Matthews fans. And this guy, as soon as I said black, you put your hand on her lap as a like, which way is this gonna go? Don't worry, little lady. Me and this mustache will handle it. Oh, I think I got him in fucking trouble because yeah, I fucking did. Yeah! And the 4 baby boomers are just going, why did they look at the black guy? Just laugh at the fucking joke. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I want to be like presenting like a fun, exciting person. I don't look fun. I look like a youth pastor who's gone rogue. I'm gonna commit. You know what it's like walking around the earth with resting bouncer face? You understand? Since Trump's election, I just look like the problem. And that doesn't matter what side you're on. You just look at me and go, fuck him. Now, I am not a white supremacist. Oh, what a wonderful wet cough, reminding us COVID's still out there. And with this face, you don't know what side I'm on with that issue. Both sides. By the way, when you look like a white supremacists will come up to you and they will start talking to you about white supremacy. And then they won't believe you when you say, no, I don't go in for that. And then they point at your skin like, what about that? So I was recently in a Starbucks. Sorry, Canada, that's right. Daddy's moved up in the world. No more Tim Hortons. I'm gonna go to a Starbucks, which is somehow the same price. I don't even go to Starbucks for the coffee. I go for the breakfast sandwich. What a whimsical item of food that is. I perform comedy around the world. You look for consistency in your life. You want consistency, go to Starbucks. You order the breakfast sandwich, you watch them cook it in the oven, then they hand you a bag that's somehow wet. No water is involved. Here's a wet bag for your food. And then you bite into it, and it's somehow scalding hot and ice cold at the same time. It's like Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, was trying to figure out a way to stand out, and he went, I got it! No longer will our breakfast sandwiches taste good. They'll just give you the sensations of coming off of heroin. That's addictive. They'll get addicted to our stuff. We can't lose. Now, I was recently in line at a Starbucks, and someone cut in front of me in line. Now, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I was bullied just enough as a youth that if you break social mores, I'm gonna tell you. In a level of aggression that is not warranted for the situation. Oh, if you're cycling on the sidewalk, I will stop you. Does this look like a path? Does this look like a path? And I look enough like a cop, sometimes I whisper into my collar so they think backup's coming. A new joke on the special. Ooh, he's daring. So I'm stood in line in Starbucks, and a gentleman cut in line. Now, I'm not gonna let that stand. A normal person in here would tap them on the shoulder and go, just to let you know, there's a line, and then they'd probably do that silent thing of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I may have been a bit too aggressive. I led with, hey! Which really, I've been talking softly for me. When I yelled, hey, did you all feel your faces just go, yeah, that's what you look like. You should be stood in a driveway shirtless saying that to a kid who was near your lawn but not on your lawn. Yeah, you get the fuck out. Holding us back the whole time with your positivity and laughter right when I say the joke. And I went, hey! To this gentleman. And I went, there's a line, and you're not in it. And then, I don't know why, I added a sweetheart. What is this, a hard-bitten HBO crime drama and I just cracked the interrogation? And then who turned around? What I was expecting is, a mid-loser. You guys. Has anyone ever said, both of you look like the two types of people that say they can do graphic design, but they can't? Now, just do me a favor so this looks good on TikTok. Just look at the camera and wave. I said fucking look at the camera and wave. Did you get that, Colin, or do we need to do it again? All right, good. You got it in one take. What are you guys, Marlon Brando, or a reference to an actor that existed in your lifetime? No, I was not greeted with a soft boy. I was greeted with a neo-Nazi. And I'm not saying that because, he was wearing a heavy metal band t-shirt. I'm saying that he was a neo-Nazi because tattooed on his neck were the word or words, neo-Nazi. Neo, of course, Matrix for Keanu Reeves. And Nazi, I think we all can agree, means Nazi. I'm 38 in the post-COVID world, so I got some friends who have gone through some divorces. I got one friend who's dating a 20-year-old, which I'm against, because I have to speak to her, and you fuck that. You have 200 followers on a private Instagram account. Why are you saying the word algorithm? Anyway, I'm pushing 40, and so now I just have information about World War II in my head. I'm not as old as that guy. That guy, I don't think he's ever read a book about D-Day, but if I asked him, he would know the date and the day of the week every year from D-Day until now. How do I know? He's wearing a polo shirt, and his wife just elbowed him as if to say, he's fucking gotcha. Now, sir, wave towards the camera so we can cut away from that. Thank you very much. We got that one? Yeah, fuck yeah. We were gonna try and set up a whole camera system to capture the crowd, and then I went, no, this is Ottawa. They're bullyable. I'll make them just look at the camera. Just a room full of civil servants or people who are waiting for those jobs to free up. You know what I mean? That's why she was letting fly that wet cough near all these baby boomers. You know what I mean? Mama needs a promotion. So a friend of mine is dating a 20-year-old. He and I were discussing World War II. She interrupted us and went, did you know that Nazis weren't actually called Nazis? That was a slang term the English invented to say to the Nazis to offend them. If you want to be accurate, you should call them the National Socialists. And then I wanted to say, you see that right there? That's why people hate 20-year-olds. You just created a solution to a problem no one had. I don't know any Nazis, but I have a feeling they would say, call us what you like. Now, this neo-Nazi turned around, and at first he had rage on his face, and then the rage disappeared, and he relaxed, which I think is an insult to my face. This man believes in hatred so much he had the word Nazi tattooed on his neck, and he saw me and went, oh, good thing there's a supervisor here. He then pointed at his neck tattoo, which just as a refresher, said neo-Nazi. And then he gave me a thumbs up. I then responded, and I want to tell you I said something tough, but instead I responded in what's best described as my mom's voice. And just went, ha! Thumbs down from me, actually. Now, brothers and sisters, what transpired next, if I'm totally honest, was caused by me. I have something called insomnia, which means for days, weeks, 1 year, the whole year, I'll sleep for an hour, maybe 2 hours a night. Now, some of the byproducts is it's given me this beautiful complexion of looking both drowned and dehydrated at the same time. Oh, he looks unwell in so many different ways. And it also means that I will sometimes have sentences prepared in my head. And by the time they get out here to the mouth, oh, they've been changed. Remember at the top of the show when I went in to go to that fun joke about looking like a youth pastor, and instead I went clickety-clack-clack-cluck. And you looked at me like, I paid $40 for this. I didn't drive in from Barhaven, Bell's Corners, or maybe Orleans, but not with that haircut. Orleans? Shut the fuck up, really. Well, look at me playing on stereotypes and being bitten by truth again. For those of you at home that have never been to the capital region of Canada, there's a suburb called Orleans. Don't go. It's got one road in, one road out, and we've been trying to dynamite it for some time. They have a mall so boring, I know 2 different people that cheated on their wives there. That was a secret I wasn't supposed to share. Just kidding. So like it just, words will, like I once was at a funeral and I wanted to offer the widow condolences and I walked up and went, congrats. The darker part is she went, I know, it's wonderful, the prick is dead. So what I wanted to say to this hateful fuck is how dare you have any pride in that tattoo on your body? That should be a sign of shame. You're a fool to believe in the ideology of one man that led to the murder of 6 million Jews and 5 million other people for no other reason they didn't feel into his idea of humanity. And while we're on the topic of the Holocaust, the Jewish people affected my life directly. My mom was at a crossroads in her life. She applied for a job to be a nanny for a Jewish family. The matriarch of that family took her under her wing, encouraged her to follow her dreams, which was to become a university professor, a dream my mom accomplished by working 3 jobs while I was going to school, while you were just some fucking idiot's balls. So I hope that tattoo gets burned off your neck, motherfucker, and I'm there to see it. No, do not applaud. That's not what was said. Have you never been to a comedy show? It doesn't work out good for me. I stepped forward with confidence and went, my mom works for the Jews. Get out of line. This being Canada, I don't like that I have to reveal to you that story took place in America, and you're all gonna go, yeah, we thought so. I'm from this town. I've been to every community that's directly outside of it. You got some fucking neo-Nazis too. Why is it so tense in here? I am a Canadian boy. I became also an American boy on January 31st, 2024. Very excited. I get to vote in my first election, which will be their last election. And I'm looking forward to it, you know what I mean? And I understand, as some of you have just turned on me, because how could you be down there with the Americans? I know, I told my friends how I became an American, snide comments. One of them went, now that you're American, do you want a gun? Citizenship had nothing to do with it. Yes, I do. The reason I don't have a gun had nothing to do with what my passport said. It had everything to do with the fact that I know if I had access to a firearm, I would brandish it in customer service situations. And I don't mean in person. I don't mean in the cell phone store. I mean, I'll be on the phone with the airline. The gun is in my mouth. It's your decision. Give me back my bags or I'm going in one. What do you want to do? Now, I am not a gun guy, and I don't know why, but I would like to give some advice to the gun-toting community. You guys need to change up on how you're presenting gun ownership. For example, you need to stress how cheap they are. A pistol is $40. Exactly. You're telling me for the same price for me and my fiance to go to the movies, I can make it so a group of people will never forget my face? It's just information that's good to have, you know what I'm saying? And I listen, and let me say this about Americans, and I know that a lot of you have judged, oh, they're stupid. Yeah, so are us. We're all... And I do love Americans as a people. I love them. They're inspiring. They're hustlers. They work harder than any other group of people on the planet. If an American has a drug problem or they have a drinking problem, they still go to work. In Canada, oh, you guys try, but eventually you're just calling in with, look, I had 18 beer and it's not happening today. But a Yankee, they will show up. They might show up late. They might be limping, but they're opening that Target. And you know, whoa, why are you snorting that fentanyl? Someone needs to drive this train. You know what I'm saying? That's why Americans are so ugly and caustic when they go on vacation, because they work so hard. And it's not like Ottawa jobs. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm in bureaucracy for baristas that make coffee for AI. In America, everyone's job is horrendous. What do you do? Oh, I mine for coltan with my penis. And they go on one vacation. That's why they eat at the Hard Rock Cafe. I can't trust the Italian food. Eating this burger in Italy, that's Italian food. And I learned this because I went on a cruise earlier this year. If you've never been on a cruise, you got to do it. I can tell all the gray-haired gentlemen in the second row, you would really enjoy it, because a cruise is basically moving when you're not moving, and you both look like you'd like to do that. Now, what was interesting about this cruise, which I didn't know, is I didn't know that cruises could be booked out by various conferences. I expected it to just be a bunch of people like me going on vacation. It was not. It was 2 conferences and moi. The first conference was something called the Bears for Black Lives Matter. Now, if you don't know what a bear is, it is a rotund gentleman subsection of the LGBTQ community. They're very hairy, they have a lot of beards. You, sir, are in shadow, so I would use you as an example of a bear. But the camera can't pick you up. So on the way out, just know that guy looks like what I'm talking about. Now, that was one group. And the other group, now I don't know who booked these 2 conferences together, but I'm pretty sure it was the god of mischief, Loki. Because the other group was a little organization celebrating something called Freedom on the Sea. And they were called the Gun Owners of America. I'd never heard of this outfit, but according to the bumper sticker I read on a car in the parking lot, Gun Owners of America, we're the NRA for people that aren't pussies. What a fun week at sea this will be. Now, if this had been a Canadian boat, there would have been fights before on the gangplank. Because it was American, they were so focused on their vacation, didn't even notice each other. I saw one moment of tension. I was eating dinner in sort of one of the nicer restaurants. Yeah, that's right. It was complimentary, but I thought about tipping. And there was a gentleman sat at the bar. Now, I don't know which group he came with. I had some guesses. He was wearing a Make America Great hat again. His t-shirt featured an eagle driving a car, and the car had a gun. He was wearing those shorts that you could tell the zipper on the bottom so they could be pants. And he was just sipping a scotch, some sort of dark, dangerous liquor. And a gentleman joined him after a few moments. And I don't know which group this gentleman was with, but he was, how do I say this? Painted head to toe like a rainbow. And on his face and chest were painted the words, "I am gay." Who knows which group he was with? And the first gentleman with the Make America Great hat again leaned across the bar very aggressively and sort of spat with venom at the rainbow-painted gentleman. He just went, "Hey, who did you vote for?" And then the rainbow gentleman leaned back with the same level of menace and just went, "I'm a felon. I'm not allowed to vote." And then the first guy leaned back and went, "Me too." And then they clinked glasses. I've not drank in 2.5 years, and that made me want to have a beer. You know what? I wanted to get drunk with those two guys and then write the greatest buddies cop script the world has ever seen. Gay and gun, they're fierce, both definitions. Now, oh, I wish you guys had been in the Deep South when I tried that joke. Oh, a silence so loud you could hear it. If you've not come to America, pop in. It's nuts. You don't even know. Because I've been to Rochester. No. Go down, go south, get into the belly. You'll see shit you've never thought you would see. I once saw a man wearing a Confederate flag t-shirt helping a black woman cross the street. And that was so bizarre, I remember thinking, am I allowed to remember this? I don't drink anymore. I didn't think I necessarily had a drinking problem. Like, don't worry, guys, I'm still smoking pot. I'm not curing these problems, I'm just slowing them down. Oh, you know what I mean? I love it. Because you don't have to smoke pot anymore. You can just eat it in gummy form, you know what I mean? I like to take a handful of marijuana-laced gummies and a handful of fiber gummies and see which one affects my life more. And I know some of you are going, marijuana's just as bad as alcohol. When I used to drink alcohol, I would smoke cigarettes, be out 3 o'clock in the morning arguing about this bullshit. You think Stanley Kubrick? You understand? Now what I do, I smoke a little weed every night, and I pop into the family WhatsApp group, and I start trouble, and then turn the phone off. Hey, Dad, Reagan ain't no shit. Good night! Hey, Mom, maybe capitalism isn't the way forward. Marketing professor, phone off. That slapping noise was her hitting the table going, take that back. I never thought I had a drinking problem. It was getting a bit, I quit before they could fire me, is basically how I would describe it. Like, I was a warrior, you know what I mean? I was out there. I'm in some people's stories, you know what I mean? There's a good decade where most mornings I was playing a spirited game of, I wonder where we ended up today. Usually it would be my bed, one time it was the bathtub, and one time it was running in the park across the street from my house. Now, I don't know if you youths have ever come out of a blackout running in a park before. But your first thought is, well, I wonder what crime I've committed. And I wonder how far away they are. As it turned out, by the way, and I truly don't know how I did this, I joined a charity 5K that was across the street from my house. A friend of mine who was in AA, when he heard that story, he went, is that your rock bottom? And I went, absolutely not. I beat 3 people in that race. And I raised $100 for breast cancer, and that was not what they were running for. Ironically, they were running for liver treatments. Now, I think, if I'm totally honest, why I never thought I was a giant booze bag, because all of my friends were always way more fucked up than I was in any given moment. Because I haven't always been a stand-up comedian. I worked in restaurants in the service industry for a few years. Now, if you've never worked in a kitchen, you don't know this. But if you are a germaphobe and you eat in a restaurant, you're in trouble. It's not Gordon Ramsay back there in a nice white coat going, it's perfect. It's a criminal who's doing crime and then occasionally remembers to put the salt on your food. I once had to fire a guy whose name was Mike. He was smoking crack in the kitchen, and crack rock was falling in the spaghetti bolognese. I was the dishwasher. I alerted the head chef, and he said, well, then you fire him if you got such a big problem with it. And I said, hey, Mike, you're dropping crack rocks and spaghetti bolognese. I think you're fired. And he turned to me and went, why? Crack's expensive. I'm making the dish more enticing. And then he went, point two, which I was like, I didn't realize there would be points. And he went, point two, crack makes you not want to eat. We will have more food to sell. And if you ever had a moment where you're like, I think this crackhead's onto something. That job was nuts. Like, I remember I was a dishwasher at Christmas Eve. This was before I did comedy. Washing dishes on Christmas Eve. Oh, well, just put a gun in your mouth, baby. And a buddy of mine knew it was so sad that he just came and hung out at the restaurant and got drunk with me. That shows the level of professionalism of this business. Who is this stranger? He's a drunk guy. Oh, I thought he was here for no reason. And this buddy of mine, he's one of those drunk guys that, like, you know, he has 4 glasses of wine and suddenly it's like, I've only been drinking spring water. In other news, who has pissed my pants? I remember that night, because I was working, so I didn't drink, and he said, we're gonna party afterwards. And I said, man, you're really fucked up. And he was like, I have had only 2 glasses of wine. And I said, you're holding a Guinness. And he went, it's for you. And then he said, let's do something special for Christmas Eve. Meet me in the alley. Because I think we all can agree, special stuff happens in the alley. So we trucked into the alley. He got there before me. There was a bottle of vodka sat in the middle of the alley, and he was undoing his trousers, which made me think, oh, what do I have to do to earn my drink? He then turned to me and he said, I read about this on the internet. Now, to you guys, that's just a thing people said. This was in 2004. If someone said, I read about this on the internet, you're about to see some shit. Speaking of, he then proceeded to boof the vodka or butt chug. For those of you that do not know what that is, fear not, explanation on the way. He sat on the bottle of vodka with a bare bum-bum. Gotta keep it clean. Oh, yes. He then did a headstand with the vodka inserted inside of him. And it then made a bloop bloop noise. Similar to the noise made by water entering the water cooler. I know some of you are going, I did not need that image in my head. I need to remind you this happened on Christmas Eve. What do you think I think every year? I've never once thought of Santa. I always just think of my friend's eyes getting wider. And for those of you paying attention, I'm sure you have recalled that we are in an alley on Christmas Eve in winter in Canada. So you know what that means? It's slippy. Now, nobody ruined the movie. But as a group, what do you think happened next? That hand slipped. And this is an unrelatable piece of material because I'm the only person that has friends stupid enough to try this. But he then landed on the ground, the bottle broke. Where did you think this was going? Did you think the bottle didn't break and then Santa showed up and went, you're my 2 bestest boys? No. The bottle broke. Now, here's a little thing you need to know about me. About a month before that, I had started smoking cigarettes. Now, this is my first time in a butt chug gone wrong. But let me tell you this. No situation has ever called for a cigarette more than a man has a bunch of broken glass in his asshole on Christmas Eve, and someone needs to figure out an excuse for the doctors. Well, look, Doc, we were at the orphanage, we were reading kids' stories, and then we said, you know what? Let's head over to the house for the blind kids and tell them the stories. And then we encountered some bigger boys, and they did this to us. So I am smoking my cigarette, watching a friend of mine with a look... Inquisition, confusion, moments of almost relief, pulled back to terror. And then he finally, I could see him. Now, if the bottleneck is intact, we get to have Christmas. If it's not, we've gotten a present worse than coal. And he reveals the neck of the bottle, holding it aloft like he just won the World Cup. And then he looked at my cigarette and then looked at me and went, "Smoking, John. That's disgusting." An employee of the Canadian federal government now. Isn't that fun? He might work in your department. I got all my buddies stayed in Ottawa. I was the one got the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? I was the one that went, they're never building this O train. I'm leaving. Yeah, got out of Ottawa. They all stayed here. They're all insane in that very peculiar Ottawa way, where they will be on time to pick you up at an airport, but the story you hear driving in is going to involve something bizarre. We were in Barhaven and the orgy was canceled. Always been like that. Like I remember a buddy of mine, now you're walking out? Must be from Barhaven. Thank you so much for taking offense at that. That was really beautiful, where you just looked at me and went, never. Barhaven is the silver medal to Orleans's gold. I love this town. Just crazy memories of growing up here. You know what I'm saying? It's just insane. Like I remember once walking through Tilbury Park in Westboro. I was 19 years old. I was with my friend Paul, and a man, you won't believe this in Ottawa, a man came out of the bushes with a knife, and he stuck it in my face, and he went, "Give me your money." Now, I didn't get nervous. I didn't get scared. And that's because my friend Paul, my oldest friend, he has always said that if he was ever mugged, he would get completely naked, because you're not going to rob a naked man. That doesn't sound right. I don't know what you're taking from him, his pride. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, one corner, for getting that, and the rest of you, let's go. Now, I'm just stood there, what's gonna happen here? Because either way, it's golden. He gets naked, get to see if he's right. He doesn't get naked. Sure, I lose my wallet, but I get to hold that over his head for the rest of his life. That's how male friendship works. We don't like each other, but we have vengeance to reap. I just stood there. I'm looking at the mugger, he's looking at me, and then I heard the telltale sound of a belt being unclasped. And then Paul was just naked. I don't know if he'd been wearing tearaway clothes the whole time. Because it was literally, I heard the belt and then just, nah. Because I don't know if I'm the only one in here who's ever seen a fully naked white man illuminated by the moonlight. But it's far brighter than you're really expecting. It looks like a lighthouse for perverts. And a naked man, that is an energy shifting event. No longer is it me and Paul versus the mugger. It's me and the mugger versus Paul. The mugger, holding a knife still in his hand, just says to Paul, "What are you doing?" Paul had said back to him, "I'm trying something. Be quiet." Then Paul turned, bent over to get his wallet, which I wish he had squatted. He retrieved said wallet, and he held it in the mugger's face. And he went, "Is this what you're looking for?" And I'll never forget, he then tapped the wallet on the mugger's head. And the mugger, like a cop quitting the force, ironically, put the knife on the ground, looked at both of us and went, "You have a good night." Do you all know how difficult it is to exist with a man who was right about that? I love him. I love all those guys. Very grounding. I went through a lot the last couple of years. Very grounding, great guys. Fucking insane people. One of them was criticizing me for getting the COVID vaccine, and he was doing that while taking cocaine out of a man's hand on a bus. Full disclosure, we were both coming back from getting the vaccine together. And then another friend of mine did not get the vaccine, not for anything political, just didn't want to, and now wears COVID masks to orgies. Also an employee of the Canadian government. Oh man, I am in a WhatsApp group with these maniacs, and it's a fucking scene in there. I gotta tell you, we got a heavy metal Catholic guy, which everyone goes, how do those two things go together? They go together so well, because heavy metal and Catholicism are basically the only places a man can wear a cape and talk about where the devil might be. And he doesn't tone it down going into the church. He reps metal with God. You ever walk into a Catholic mass with a man wearing tight, white, leather trousers, no t-shirt, denim vest, hair in a ponytail, beard split down the middle like a goat? You will watch a priest think, I can't be gay, but this is allowed? What the fuck, God? I had a heavy metal Catholic. We got a government employee who drank vodka with his asshole. We got a mall security guard who once pissed himself by accident, so the next day pissed himself on purpose, on shift, to see if anyone would say anything. We got a guy who once shit on a wall. We got a guy who sucked one dick just to see. And we got a guy who married a woman even though they never lived in the same country as each other. And to show you how crazy that group is, those last three guys are me. Let's start with the story you're all wondering about. So that wall. No, of course, we will segue immediately to the penis sucking. I, like every other man in this room, even though majority straight, if we're going to believe the census, my first sexual encounter, although I am straight, was not with a woman. It was mutually masturbating with my friends in basements or rooms our parents had just left. I would like to point out that woman just asked that man, "Did you do that?" And he just responded with a no, and that's what a lie looks like. Wave at the camera. I'll fucking bring it over here if you don't. Did you, what? Colin, can you bring the camera over? You didn't fucking think I would. Get the jacker. Is it okay if we use your image in the special? Thank you. I really like your energy because you did not want to cooperate, but you just were like, you can't push against a river, go ahead. I think if I'm reading this energy right, she said to you, let's go to a comedy show, and you said, I don't want to sit in the front row, and you sat in the second row, and she said, no one will talk to you, and you are fucking not happy about this. So one time I was in a basement in the Westboro area with a friend, and we were just jacking off. And he said to me, he said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we measure each other's penises, and whoever has the bigger penis, the other person has to suck that guy off. Now, I always remembered this story as being kind of improvised, but upon looking back on the memory, he was holding a ruler. And so we measured, and it turned out we were sort of roughly the same size. So then he said, hey, let's compromise and suck each other's dicks. Now, I later learned that that's not what a compromise is. If only I had known then. So that happened, and then 2 years ago, I was at that individual's wedding to a woman, and he took me aside right before we headed to the church for the ceremony, and he said, "Do not tell anyone we did that." And then I had to tell him that I had forgotten we had done that. Kept it to myself, you know what I mean? I'm actually happy that he told me, because his wife is sort of into conspiracy theories, you know, when she's radicalized, whatever the fuck that means. I remember time was that you were radical when you blew up a post office. Now you're radical if just your Facebook post says "see more," you know what I mean? Which came in really handy because I spent the next week with him and his wife just sort of hanging out. I live in California, so if I come to Canada, I spend a bit more time. And it was very good that I had that reminded to me because his wife had been radicalized by social media over the pandemic. So she was really taking that out on me because I'm from California, which is a symbol of something to both sides in that fucking weird, crazy debate. So we're just driving around Ottawa and she's saying shit to me like, "Are you aware that in California you have to be a pedophile to teach school now?" And I had to be like, first of all, I don't think there's that many pedophiles for those jobs. Are you aware that Joe Biden is a lizard? I said, "No, he's dead." Are you aware that in California they're gonna make it illegal to be straight? You're gonna have to be LGBTQ to exist. And then I wanted to go, "Did you know your husband sucked my dick?" Didn't do it. We're saving it for when the special comes out. Nice to see you guys. That's going to be a lively comment section. If I am totally honest with part of the reason why I have not been totally honest with that woman about her husband's previous activities is because she's into like woo-woo crazy medical shit and she doesn't use all of it, so she gives me the extras and I am addicted. She gave me a tea that smelled like a bald woman's car. And I ended up on the toilet for 57 minutes straight. Now, I don't mean 57 minutes of checking my phone and the occasional push or strain. I mean 57 minutes of product hitting market. And I got very scared, as you would in that situation, Sean, because if you shit for a full hour, you legally become a father. So as we hit the 58th minute, a voice in my head boomed, and it just said, "Stand up." And I did, and that's how I shit on that wall. It is lovely to be home. It is lovely to be back in Canada. It's lovely to be back in Ottawa in the summer when the city is fun. It's just been nice reconnecting with old friends, just fucking telling the people that know that guy the truth. Just remembering old things, you know what I mean? I went to high school here. I went to Nepean High School. Fucking, yeah, let's buy some pills from a relative of a cabinet minister. You know what I'm saying? Oh, just a weirdo high school, you know, and just bizarre. I was a bit of a dork in high school, you know what I'm saying? You know, student government, improv team, you know what I'm saying? Some very strange memories of high school. My biggest memory of high school, if one stands out, it would be Remembrance Day in grade 9. I was part of the student government, so we were sat right up front in the assembly. And you guys all remember Remembrance Day when you're in high school. They bring in a veteran to speak to you earnestly about what happened in their experience during war, and you sit there being like, "Man, this is better than math class." And then at the 11th hour, on the 11th day, we all rise and we give thanks by silently honoring all the men and women that protect our freedoms. The veteran spoke, and he was very old, holding on to the podium with each word of his remembrance. He was getting more lumped, but he wanted to tell us all of his experiences, and they brought out a stool for him to sit on during the moment of silence. That's how old he was, brothers. He couldn't stand, and as he was putting his frame on that stool, we were all standing up for the moment of silence. So as he was sitting down, we were standing up, and as he sat down, he farted. Not a loud, daring, but the more coquettish, almost French. So subtle, Curtis, or whatever the fuck your name is. I wasn't sure if it was a fart in that moment. And then my friend stood right next to me, whispered in my ear. He went, "We've just been gassed by a World War II veteran." Now, I don't know if you guys remember the moment of silence, but it's quiet. The whole country shuts the fuck up for 1 minute. And understand, in that assembly auditorium, if I began to laugh, they would not think, well, I assume that veteran passed wind. What they would think is, John found that guy talking about seeing death during World War II so funny he had to laugh right behind him. And all of those thoughts are ringing through my head as I'm just trying to press the laugh down. Just get down there now! And I lasted about 3 seconds before I just gave for the principal, a man named Barry who looked like a penis, was on me like a vulture on a carcass. And this isn't like education now where every teacher is a woman named Holly who just twirls. This was in the days when teachers were just drunks who didn't do anything else. They weren't there to teach you. They were there to maybe not kill you. Anyway, this guy, they had hazing. The Nepean had hazing. Like hazing, when you were a grade 9, the grade 12s were allowed to put on boiler suits and then chase us through the fucking neighborhood and beat the shit out of us. And they had to cancel it because it was too intense when I was a grade 9, because the grade 12s were all the eldest brothers of everyone in my grade, meaning that it got, if you remember the year 1999, a kid was duct taped to a tree down by the river, and they couldn't find him for 2.5 days. They canceled hazing. This is how we found out. He was tied on Monday. They found him Thursday morning. We were called into an assembly, and the principal, Barry, just said through a microphone, hazing is canceled because Stefan doesn't know how to cry for help. So when the fucking principal put his goddamn ham hack on my goddamn shoulder, just rest his stupid educational claw on my goddamn body, looked right in my eyes, not anger, it was glee. I think he was thinking, finally an excuse to kill a kid. And I didn't know he knew my name, and he got this far from my face and just went, "Why are you laughing, John?" And before I could say anything, the veteran whipped his head around and just said, "I tooted." The kid is okay. That moment is so funny. That moment burned so bright in my memory that later that day, that veteran's grandson sucked my dick. And I forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, you were a fucking wonderful show. Have a great rest of your lives. My name is John Hastings. Tell everyone the show is good. We might film you leaving. See you later. Good night.